Yet, but, you know. What do you have in your bag there? Oh, okay. I've tried some of my dogs once before. Some like fresh baked from a bakery in Frankenmuth. They weren't too bad.
Have you had her like freeze-dried chicken?
Yeah, this was like sweet potato and pumpkin.
I do make some that are chickens.
Yeah, that's what this was.
Thank you. Did you text Jack?
Yep, I just did.
He may have thought it was 7, I don't know.
I thought it was 7 until I got Terry's thing that said, we'll see you at 6 or whatever, and I was like, ooh, I put that in my calendar.
Yeah. Ms. Royal, you good? I am. City Manager, you good? We just texted him. He should be on his way. Okay. I'd like to call this special Saline City Council meeting to order. If you'd please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, members present currently are Council Members Gearbaugh, Rice, Lesh, Harmount, Mayor Pro Tem Dillon, and Mayor Marl. Council Member Seo should be with us shortly. From City staff, we have Acting City Manager Treasurer Cole, Clerk Royal, Community Development Director Atkin, and the Parks and Rec Director Sunshine Lambert is here, along with Police Chief Radzik, I think is somewhere as well. Just okay. The rest of you who are in the audience this evening, we welcome you. We encourage you to sign in on the back table. There are copies of the agenda, along with hearing devices if you require them. And I should note that the presentation tonight and all the support material that Council will be considering is available on Documents on Demand, and you can review that at your leisure. At this time, the Chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as submitted unless there are amendments. As submitted, Mr. Gearbaugh, thank you. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Councilmember Lesh. All those in favor of approving the agenda as submitted signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. We'll hold off on excusing absences because I believe Mr. Seo is on his way, which leads us to the first public comment period. Actually, I think it's the only public comment period this evening. Under the Open Meetings Act, any person may come forward at this time, make comment or question on an item that appears on this agenda. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Anyone who would like to speak is requested, but of course not required to state their name and address for the record. We will start with comments from those who are in the audience this evening. If you would please approach the podium. That podium can be adjusted, and make sure that the green light is illuminated at the base before you begin speaking. You'll have 3 minutes. Once we exhaust public comments from those in the audience, I'll defer to the city clerk because I think we have 1 or 2 written comments in which the individual wanted their remarks read at this time. Mary?
Hello, everyone. For the record, my name is Mary Detling, and tonight I am not only the Executive Director for Saline Main Street, I am also representing the majority of the downtown businesses and property owners. And I would like to invite to those that are here and want to stand with me, if you are in favor of moving forward with the partnership between the city and Praxis Properties to create a community green space in downtown Saline, please, I invite you to stand right now. Thank you. Okay. Before I say anything else, we want to thank you again for all the work the task force, El Cole, council members, and Praxis Properties have all put into making the Community Green Space Project a potential reality. Whichever direction the vote takes this evening, I want to commend you for not only your efforts, but also for your open minds and even entertaining an idea of a project like this with such a short deadline. As I mentioned at the special meeting earlier this month, I have been searching for data on how exactly public spaces help bring vibrancy to downtown. I asked MEDC and Michigan Main Street, and they sent me a few resources, such as the really dense report from MEDC called Quantifying the Placemaking Effect, Evaluating the Impact of Sustained Place-Based Economic Development Incentives on Michigan Neighborhoods and Commercial Corridors, 2008-2019. In which they state, and I'm summarizing here because it's a 96-page document, which I can give to any of you if you'd like to read it all. They do state that residential and commercial occupancy rates increased by an approximate 3% within 1,000 feet of MEDC investment sites. This increase signifies improved attractiveness and usability of areas near public space projects. Public space enhancements contribute to higher nearby property values. For every $1 invested by MEDC, nearby commercial property values increased by over $5, and nearby residential property values increased by over $1. Now, these effects, I want to emphasize this, these are increases due to higher demand and desirability of these areas with improved public spaces. MEDC also sent me the Michigan Municipal League's report on the economic impact of placemaking dated June of 2014, which states, not only do placemaking projects improve a physical public space, but they also strengthen the social fabric of a community.
You're a managing director of Into Being. We have 12 people. We love Saline. It's a beautiful place. So thank you all for the work that you do. I will say that I do a lot of work with MEDC in the medical device space. I'll be next week at MD&M in Anaheim, California, helping to staff the MEDC booth there, representing the great state of Michigan. So we're looking forward to a good time there. Why are we in Saline? We originally thought we were settling for Saline. That man right there created green space for us. And we haven't left. And as long as the kind of care that was just expressed that Praxis has been able to bring to its clients remains, we will too. And so we very much appreciate all the effort in this room, and especially the care and the green spaces already created here. Thank you.
Thank you, Gene.
Wally McNeil from Max, and then I actually, as a resident too of downtown, I just wanted to add too that I've probably been the oldest tenant in the building for 30 years, and Bill and Tyler have done nothing but support me for 30 years. In bad times, they prop me up. They've helped Cindy and I along the way and stuff. They're great landlords, and for them to give you the opportunity to get involved in something like this downtown, it's a good deal. So,
Thanks, Wally. Any additional citizen comments from those in the audience? One last call. Anybody else who'd like to speak? Then I will defer to the city clerk. I believe you have one, maybe two, just one? One comment. You may read that into the record at this time.
As a new member of the Saline community, I'm writing to express my enthusiastic support for the Downtown Green Space Initiative being discussed this evening. While I didn't grow up in Saline, I was raised in a small town in Michigan and have always valued the charm and connection that come with close-knit communities. That sense of community is exactly what drew my family to move to Saline last year. Since arriving, we've loved exploring and supporting the local businesses that make downtown Saline so unique. With 2 young children, we understand the importance of vibrant, welcoming spaces that foster gathering, play, and community building. A thoughtfully designed green space in the heart of downtown would not only enhance our shared sense of place, but also create meaningful opportunities for families like ours to connect and build lasting ties to this wonderful town. We look forward to contributing to and supporting the Saline community for many years to come. Thank you for your leadership and dedication to making Saline an even better place to live, work, and play. With warm regards, Maureen Palchuk.
Very good. We thank Maureen for her comment this evening. Again, I'll provide one last opportunity. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak this evening regarding any item that's on our agenda? Very good. We appreciate everyone's comments. We're going to proceed with the consent agenda. The following consent agenda will normally be adopted without discussion. However, at the request of any citizen or council member, any item may be removed from the consent agenda for council discussion. I would note there was a small modification to the support memo from Acting City Manager Cole pertaining to City Manager Hiring Committee. Is there a motion, or would somebody like the item removed for discussion?
Move to approve.
Move to approve the consent agenda as submitted. Councilmember Rice?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Dillon. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda as submitted signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, the motion carries unanimously. We move on to the only new business item of the evening, which is 25-15, Downtown Green Space. We'll start with a motion simply to acknowledge receipt of the memo from Acting City Manager Treasurer Cole.
Acknowledge to receive.
Thank you, Councilmember Harmount. Was that a second by Councilmember Lesh? Thank you, sir. Mr. Gearbaugh, please.
Since I do have a direct conflict of interest related to this, I will be stepping down from the podium and allowing the council to discuss without my presence.
Very good. Thank you for that acknowledgement. Acting City Manager Cole, excuse me. Can I defer to you? We have a very thorough presentation that the working group would like to share with City Council and the community. It is up on the screen. At the conclusion of your remarks, we will hear from the other members of the committee, which include Mayor Pro Tem Dillon, Council Members Rice and Harmount, respectively. And then we will open it up for questions and comments and see if we can develop consensus to consider a subsequent motion to either adopt or not to adopt. City Manager Cole, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Mayor Morrow.
Good evening, council members and members of our wonderful community. I thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. Tonight, I want to take you on a journey, not just through plans, funding models, or site evaluations, but walk through a vision that aligns with our strategic plan. Imagine a downtown where people gather not just to eat, but to stay and connect. Currently, our downtown boasts incredible restaurants where families and friends gather to enjoy great meals. But what happens when the plates are cleared? What's next? Where is the next natural step? A place to stroll, unwind, extend the evening? The social space will provide the missing piece and create the and that our downtown is missing. The and is what transforms a meal into a memory, a visit into an experience, and our downtown into a local destination. Downtown park spaces not only enrich quality of life for all of our residents, but investments in downtown public spaces have been linked to increased property values, higher occupancy rates, and enhanced community well-being. By creating a vibrant downtown park, we not only provide a space for relaxation and recreation, but we also stimulate economic growth. Let's remember to embrace the and transform our downtown into a place where experiences flourish, businesses thrive, and community bonds strengthen. This project and placement of this park is a new space to evaluate in 2025 for Salinians. However, we have been seeing a downtown park since 2007. In 2007, surveys identified the desire for a downtown park, and it was incorporated into the city's urban design plan. As we all know, the economic downturn of 2008 slowed down funding available to the city. So fast forward to 2023. It was identified again as a desire from the residents and was included in the 2023 master plan. In December of 23, council approved a downtown park evaluation and study. That leads us to 2024. The City of Saline completed foundational work to plan for a transformative downtown public park space. This included a comprehensive analysis of existing city-owned parcels to determine the best potential site, gathering detailed data for each location, and evaluating opportunities and constraints. Additionally, extensive community engagement was conducted through focus groups with residents, businesses, and city stakeholders to shape a conceptual design, culminating in a draft plan and cost estimates to guide the future development. Unfortunately, the removal of some parking spots halted further exploration of the South Henry lot. However, this guide was a tremendous help when Praxis approached the city with a placemaking project proposed with the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, the MEDC, with a 1-to-1 matching rec grant. In January, you heard the ideas from Praxis Properties on the concept, and council approved a working group to evaluate this new space. So before we move into the evaluation process, let's call out the biggest obstacle: funding. Funding in Downtown Park requires balancing competing needs and limited resources, but it also presents an opportunity to rethink how we reinvest in our community. The Tax and Criminal Finance Authority, or what we call the TIFA, offers a creative and strategic solution. By capturing the additional tax revenue generated from property values above a frozen baseline in the district, TIFA can reinvest those funds into transformative projects like the Downtown Park without delaying other essential city priorities. Since 2020, only 2% of TIFA funds have gone back into downtown improvements. Utilities and roads have been the focus of the TIFA district thus far. Using the TIFA funds enables us to advance multiple priorities simultaneously, creating a thriving downtown that serves us both a vibrant community space and an economic driver for Saline. So how did the working group evaluate? Okay, here's the scorecard approach, like the one shown here, to evaluate the best place for our first downtown park. The scorecard was meticulously designed to reflect the priorities and values of the community, ensuring every decision was backed by data and purpose. Each criteria was weighted and scored based on this alignment with key priorities, identified through extensive community input, including the prior results. The working group did not just assign values arbitrarily. We used a structured, methodical approach to quantify what matters most for Saline. For example, criteria like connectivity and economic impact carried significant weight because of survey feedback consistently showed that accessibility and driving growth downtown were top community priorities. By contrast, factors like construction timelines or temporary disruptions were important, but secondary in terms of overall impact. The evaluation included key factors such as expenses, long-term and initial costs, economic impact, the potential to increase our downtown investment and property values, exposure and mobility, creating accessibility, visibility, and alignment with city planning, impact on business and parking, minimizing disruptions while managing the increased demand. No parking spot removal was critical. Health, safety, and welfare, ensuring safety and sustainability for the community. This process is akin to precision engineering, systematic, deliberate, and focused on results. Every metric and weight was carefully calibrated to ensure that the park we build not only meets today's needs, but also exceeds expectations for years to come. It's a data-driven roadmap to create Saline's and. Let's take a look at the locations that we scored. As we evaluated potential sites for our first downtown park, the scorecard revealed how each location performed based on the criteria. Each site was analyzed not just for size, but for its ability to deliver the and, a space that doesn't just exist, but elevates downtown Saline into a destination. Here's how the location scored. The Praxis site emerged as a top contender with a weighted rank of 8.35, standing out for its strong alignment with community goals, accessibility, and economic potential. Other sites like Henny and Wall also scored well, but they presented challenges in the now, but will serve as excellent opportunities in the future. This process helped us see beyond intuition, focusing on data and potential impact to select the site that will best serve as the and, a vibrant, multi-use park that brings families together, friends and visitors, while fueling the growth and vitality of downtown. But this project, it's not without obstacles. The Praxis MEDC partnership comes with hard work ahead of us. We have to develop agreements, handle curveballs like the recent news of Comerica Bank being posted for sale, and items like securing the lease. So what happens now? Where do we go from here? If council approves this motion this evening, I want you to think of this moment as the beginning of an exciting journey for downtown Saline. Right now, we're in the engagement phase, working closely with Praxis and MEDC to solidify our shared vision and commitments. Council approval tonight is like saying, yes, we're ready to move forward. From there, we submit for MEDC's grant and look for an approval to move forward. But this is just the beginning. I'm going to repeat that. This is just the beginning. Approval brings us to the design phase and development agreement, which will be drafted by the city's attorney to ensure that Saline is fully protected. This agreement guarantees that the city will owe nothing until milestones are approved by both the TIPA board and city council. It is a thoughtful process, like crafting a perfect partnership that ensures we move forward responsibly and strategically. Each milestone brings us closer to delivering that space that transforms our downtown. While this isn't the I do just yet, it's a step that gets us there, building momentum and ensuring that the final result is nothing short of transformative. I'd like to welcome our city attorney, Tony Chubb, to speak on the legal protection.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I'm Tony Chubb, the Saline City Attorney. So as Al mentioned, I just wanted to give a very high-level understanding of where we're at and where we would be going forward if we pass the resolution tonight, which is the first step in this process. And so we have had detailed conversation with the property owners of Praxis as well as with Councilperson Gearbach about the two pieces of property that would collectively create the green space. At a high level, they will both be subject to land leases that would be 25 years with a 25-year option. The idea that any funding granted from MEDC would be for a capital improvement project, which would typically have a 25-year useful life. So after the first 25 years, it would be at that time we would expect that that council and attorney, if we're all still here maybe, would make that determination of reinvestment and re-optioning the two land leases. Those would both be subordinate to the development agreement, which will be between all three parties to make sure everyone understands exactly what all of our obligations and roles are. That, as City Manager Cole mentioned, that would have all of our milestones and protections in it. What we certainly don't want is obligation to expend money until such time as we know we have proper matches in place and that we're going to get that all of the money that we invest will come back in the way of benefits directly to the residents and to the city. And so all of that will be brought through the resolution, which, as you'll see, this is the very first step. And so it references all the agreements and the awarding of the grant. All of those will come back to you for approval at that time. This is not an omnibus. You're handing it over to us in any way. This is simply the first step so that we can go through with submitting the grant and starting all of the negotiation of the appropriate documents.
Thank you so much, Attorney Chubb. Next, I'd like to welcome Holden Branch from the MEDC to speak on the RAP grant.
Good evening. Holden Branch, I'm with the MEDC, so I am the Community Development Manager for Region 9. So I cover 6 counties. And obviously, I've been working with Tyler for months now on this particular one, as well as across the region. So the RAP Grant Revitalization and Placemaking Fund, that started as a post-COVID response to economic downturn, right? I was not with MEDC at the time, but it was originally funded with ARPA dollars. So that tied in Davis-Bacon, prevailing wage, everything that came with federal funding. We have since graduated from ARPA dollars, and we are now in legislation as an appropriation every year. So it goes off of business income tax. When they hit $1.5 billion, we get $50 million to spend for state projects similar to this one. This one is very unique because we have funding pots for public space as well as real estate. This one is going to tie in both of those, so it's kind of a unicorn essentially. You're going to have a lot of benefit. You're activating upstairs to the building currently that's unused, a walkout basement that is currently vacant, as well as activating a public space that's going to benefit everybody in the area. So, working with Tyler over the months, I think there's, I've seen the renderings. I think it looks great. The RAP dollars, it's, you drink from the well once. So, for example, if City Council were to say no tonight, and then Tyler were to move forward with a smaller version of the project that he can fund on his own, things like that, and you came back and said, hey, what about that property now? Like, let's say the green space that's still there. Could the city do something? It's a lot more competitive at that point because we say, we just funded this other project that's, 30 feet away or whatever, or a mile away, for that matter. Yeah, revitalization, placemaking. The way that the grant dollars work on that is a $10 million project is eligible for up to 50% of the total project cost as a grant. So it'd be a $5 million total grant could be eligible. And then there's a laundry list of eligible activities, things like that. One thing that is, and Tyler and I worked through this as well, working through this pro forma, we require skin in the game from the developer, right? So they can't come to us and say, hey, I have a $10 million project, I want all $5 million. They have to have some type of senior lender, things like that to show, hey, I want this project to go too, right?
And to a place to gather, connect, and thrive. The group carefully measured every criteria, assessed every risk, and worked tirelessly to find the perfect site for our first downtown park. Now the recommendation is clear. Staff recommends approval of the initial $500,000 investment to join the MEDC and Praxis in developing this transformative project and pass the corresponding resolution. But this isn't just about building a park. It's about defining the next chapter of Saline. It's about creating a place where families can laugh together, friends can celebrate life's moments, and our community can shine. Imagine standing in this park a few years from now, hearing the laughter of the kids, the melody of live music, and the quiet hum of a thriving downtown. That is the power of the end. And this is our chance to make it happen, to stand behind our vision that will elevate our downtown and leave a lasting legacy for generations. I ask that City Council consider this recommendation with care and thoughtfulness, and we are here to answer any questions you have.
Very good. Thank you for that the presentation. That was excellent. Let me defer first to the members of the working group if they have any comments or thoughts they'd like to share at this time. I'll begin to my right with Mayor Pro Tem Dillon. As a active member of the working group, are there any thoughts you'd like to share at this moment?
Thank you. I would just want to caution people, we put a lot of time and effort into the matrix. It's not perfect. It was a very short time turnaround, and it's not, there were 5 different properties that we evaluated. There are no way that they were apples to apples comparisons. They are very different properties with different outcomes, different purposes, and so it's not really a level playing field. So you have to sort of look at what you want out of a property, because this is in no way going to be one property fits every box and checks every box, excuse me. So I want to make that very clear as people are looking through this, trying to understand and navigate through what we came up with. I think, like I said, there was a lot of thought that went into it. It's a lot of data. But it was very difficult to compare things when there's purchased property versus leased property. There's size differences. There's a lot of different pieces. So it's not always going to be an accurate comparison. But what we did look at, I think we were very diligent in looking. And I will let others talk to it next.
Very good. Councilmember Rice, do you have any comments as a member of the working group?
Yeah, thanks so much. Can everybody hear me with my mask on? Okay, thanks. So first of all, I want to thank city staff. I want to thank interim city manager Cole and city staff for really doing the research behind all of this. When we would ask questions, what about this, what about that, we would get the answers back, and they were able to help us, solve some of those problems that we've had over the years with, continuously analyzing all of these spaces and what to do about them. And I want to thank my council colleague, Ms. Harmount, for coming up with this the strategy of this matrix and trying to help us focus in on this. Secondary to that, I want to thank all the business owners and the downtown property owners and all of my friends and colleagues who have reached out and given community feedback about this project. I think one of the things that we really do strive to do up here is listen to the community and provide enough background about the decisions that we make, while also, understanding that there is some risk in the decisions that we make from up here. I think this is probably one of the first projects that I've been involved in my tenure as a city councilor where the support has outweighed all of the negatives in my mind, and I feel it's backed with the due diligence of making sure that we've, crossed our T's and dotted our I's as far as is this the right path forward. I've seen a lot of projects like this throughout my time going to different MML events and with talking to other communities and other cities, and I have seen projects like this work. I come from a small town in Northwest Ohio where someone just did this with a development, a local family that I've known my entire 42 years of life, and it is vibrant and it makes people want to go into the shoddy downtown that I grew up with that we never hung out at. And then one of the things that I want to stress to the community as well that we've talked about in this working group a ton is that this is not the end-all be-all of projects in downtown or throughout the entire community. Elle showed the one picture of kind of the assessments that we've done. In those assessments, we've had open conversations. Gunther is here. We've talked to the schools about Henny Field, and we're making great headway on potential for working that into some programming here in the near future. There's a lot of opportunity in downtown Saline. We've got to get creative. We've got to get out of our own way, and so I am really, really glad that I got to be a part of this and can feel very, very confident about moving forward on this.
Very good. Thank you for those comments. Appreciate your work. Councilmember Harmount, any statements that you'd like to make pertaining to your role as a member of the working group?
Yes, I do. I'm Jen Harmount, and I appreciate data-driven decision-making, and I think it's really important for the public to understand the logic that goes into the decision, and that's a decision matrix that we came up with, and just to walk you guys through how this process took place, but we had, community input to talk about how important it was to have a vibrant downtown. We talked about what were the options. We had a study done to evaluate what the cost would be to create that previously. And so the scope of the working group was to identify the best, most logical location given the options that we had. And then we had a meeting to discuss what the criteria were that we would grade them on. We came up with quantifiable ways to measure that data, which is what you're seeing in the matrix. And so really when it's all said and done, the criteria and the measurement was the best way to come up with a non-biased, transparent recommendation, which is not, it's more based on the data than, we want to make a lot, it's really easy to get caught up in the emotion, but it's really important to really evaluate the options in a quantifiable manner. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you. With that, let's open it up for questions, especially to those who were not members of the working group, for either City Manager Cole, Legal Counsel, or our guest from MEDC. So I'll defer to Mr. Lesh and Mr. Seo. Do you have any questions this evening, gentlemen? Mr. Lesh, I guess I'll start with you. Any questions at this time?
I fully appreciate the working group's data spreadsheet here because as a career scientist, all of my decisions are data-driven, and this, it's a very nice matrix that Councilmember Harmuth came up with, and, looking at all the criteria, the judgment scoring, it's exactly the type of thing that I use in all of my studies and experiments, and I appreciate the effort that went into it, and, I'm very impressed, so thank you.
Very good. Mr. Seal?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I just want to thank everybody. I was gone for the majority of the time that this work was being done, and when I came back, this matrix was laid before me. It certainly made it easy to follow, and then I met for several hours with City Manager Cole over the weekend to further ask questions and to have her explain her point of view on this. I have no questions. I just want to thank the working group for all the hard work they did, for Mr. Kinley for bringing this forward, and for the MEDC for providing this opportune moment that may make this come to fruition. So thank you all.
Very good. Are there additional questions from the dais? Mayor Pro Tem Dillon.
Thank you. I do have some just technical questions that I'd like to just sort of understand, just for public edification. When we talk about funding, are we going to make it very clear that there will be no general fund dollars used for this? This is strictly funded through TIFA?
Correct.
Okay, at no point will there be, I appreciate that, just so that that's clear to the public. The other thing with that is then, will there be projects, specifically infrastructure projects that have previously used TIFA dollars that will not happen?
Currently, the TIFA expenditures have not been planned for the next budget year, so the answer to that question is no.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And then the only other big question that I have is letting people understand there's a lot of unknowns when we talk about the cost of this. And in our document, we have set an initial ask of $500,000. Understanding the time frame for when that money would be expended and what the up to cost is. Are we going to establish an end dollar amount?
So the end dollar amount is the $500,000. I said initial because this is the first step in making the commitment. After today, we will, if the resolution is passed, then we'll apply for the grant. We have to obviously receive the grant in order to continue forward. So, and could you repeat what your last question you had?
That was it, asking about the initial. And so I do have one last question, and that is understanding for the development agreement. If the city and the parties cannot come to an agreement, everything stops.
Correct.
Okay. I know the answers to these questions. I'm just putting it out for public edification. Thank you.
Any additional questions from the dais? No, let me make a few comments then before we proceed with a motion to either adopt or not to adopt. First, the scorecard spreadsheet that was disseminated last week in our mailbox, and an additional copy was provided this evening. As was noted by some of my colleagues, this is excellent work. This is like postgraduate level work. It's very detailed, very comprehensive, extremely thorough. I'm hopeful that it will be put up on documents on demand so that the public can review it and get a better understanding of how much time, energy, and effort went into this process. I do think the working group, as was referenced earlier, the working group was approved and authorized, I believe, at our second meeting in December. Regardless, it was at one of our December meetings, and there is a deadline here that we're working up against, which is January 31st to apply for MEDC funding. And so the working group, consisting of Chairperson Cole, members Dillon, Rice, Harmount, and our outgoing city manager, Colleen O'Toole, had to meet frequently during a difficult time of the year, during the holidays. And so I appreciate the time and effort that they put into this effort. I greatly appreciate Mr. Kinley and Praxis Properties, your leadership on this proposal. And I do also want to acknowledge the support and cooperation we received from the Gearbaugh family, which we very much appreciate, and their long-term commitment to the viability and success of the Saline community. I'll be very brief, folks. We've been talking about a downtown gathering space, green space, for many years, certainly during the entire duration of my tenure as both a council member and mayor, which is I'm in my 16th year now. there are always reasons to vote against a proposal like this, to reject it, to find an out. But I think this is probably the most advantageous opportunity we have to move forward with a green space in our downtown. The stars aren't perfectly aligned, but they're about as close as they're ever going to get. And I think it would be very unwise to forego the opportunity for a dollar-for-dollar match from MEDC, assuming we are approved for the funding. I think, and I hate using this expression, but I'm going to use it because I can't think of one better. If this were able to be developed and we're able to move forward with this project, I think it is a paradigm shift for our downtown. And I don't generally use terms like that because I think it's a little corny and hyperbolic, but I think it's accurate and applicable in this particular situation. As the city manager indicated, this is much like being engaged, assuming the motion to approve and adopt is supported during the subsequent motion. It's no guarantee that we're going to get hitched, but we're on a good trajectory to making that happen. So this process requires a number of additional hurdles to be overcome and issues to be resolved, but I am very enthusiastic about moving forward. I appreciate the community support. I appreciate the support of our local businesses, and in particular Saline Main Street, and this is long overdue. And so I'm going to be working with my colleagues in an expeditious manner to make sure that this is a success and that we do everything to ensure that this project does indeed come to fruition and that we can inaugurate a very attractive, nice, and transformational green space at the end of the construction season, 2026. Additional comments before you vote on the motion to acknowledge?
Yes, just one last comment. I apologize, I didn't look at my note. I think that Mr. Gibson made a little asterisk comment with his post earlier, but just so that the public understands, these are conceptual drawings. I don't want somebody to come back in 18 months and say, it doesn't look like the picture, because we don't know at this point. That will be a part of the next phase. So just to understand that there are going to be a lot of moving parts. And so how that looks is going to may be different from what we're seeing on paper right now. So I just want the public to understand that. There will be chances, like we did for the parking lot space, where we would have public input and people would be able to say, these are features that we would like to see in it, or these are things that we think are just distractions. And so there would definitely be input later on once we get to that point.
Very good. Before we vote, I meant to read this text message earlier. I make it a habit of trying to stay in touch with friends and colleagues, especially those who were former employees of city government. And I think this text underscores some of the arguments I made just moments ago. I received this text, mind you, it was a proactive text that was sent to me. It was not solicited. It was sent on December the 20th, which is a Friday. Hey, Brian, I saw the news about Tyler's project. For whatever it's worth, I wholeheartedly think his proposal is better and more promising from an economic development standpoint, as it guarantees a level of private buy-in you won't find with the proposal across the street we came up with last summer. The proposal was done with the assumption that there was not going to be any private development or assistance with the gathering space. Tyler's provides just that, and that was received again last month by our former Community Development Director, Ben Harrington, who, as most of you know, worked extensively on this initiative in the conceptual realm during 2024. And it was very nice to receive that, and I have a lot of respect for his intellect and ability. So I wanted to share that, and again, I think it underscores the arguments that were made by the dais, earlier this evening. We do have a motion on the floor, moved by Harmount, seconded by Lesh, simply to acknowledge receipt of the memo from Acting City Manager Treasurer Cole. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, the motion carries unanimously. Is there a motion now to adopt or not to adopt resolution number 2515, a resolution of monetary support for the development of a public green space, including MEDC grant assistance? Moved by Lesh to adopt and seconded by Seo. Is there any additional discussion on the motion? Then the chair will call for the vote. All those in favor of adopting resolution 2515 signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Thank you all. Is there any additional business? Thank you very much. Is there any additional business to come before Saline City Council this evening? Any additional comments that you would like to make, Acting City Manager Cole?
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Then if there's nothing further, please note our upcoming meetings, including a regular meeting next Monday, beginning at 7 p.m. If there is no additional business to discuss or consider, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting at 6:48 p.m. Moved by Gearbaugh. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Harmount. All those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.